that light bulb so stop shaking around. Jeez, can we get somebody to help out here? It's Friday. I ain't got no job. No, it's Friday, so it's the Kia MVP ladder.
This is the new Jared right here.
What are you talking about?
Actually, this has been Jared for a while. We've been working all season together. This is Jared.
This is Jared?
This is Jared.
Right.
High energy, having a good time.
Yeah,
Michael C. Wright comes out with the MVP ladder on NBA.com each Friday, and we've got a change at the top. 1 and 2 have flip-flopped as Curry beat Durant and the Nets a couple of days ago. I'd imagine that has a lot to do with Michael C. Wright's decision-making. We bring in the author who all your hate tweets should be sent towards because you think he hates your favorite player. Great job with the list this week,
do.
Michael. You do. That is a fair point. You do hate everyone's favorite player. All right, Steph Curry, he's been on a tear, not playing tonight, obviously, but pretty easy decision to have him switch with Kevin Durant and take over the top spot this week?
Bro, you see that game the other night?
Of course.
That was like all the evidence I needed, man. Look, Golden State's got the best record in the league. I think they've won like 9 out of the last 10. They are the only team in the NBA that scored 100 points in every game this season. So, and Steph Curry has a lot to do with that. And, we get caught up in the shooting and all that stuff. But, man, look at what they're doing defensively, too. I mean, against Brooklyn the other night, that team was swarming KD. Like, there was nothing he could do, and, like, Steph Curry is a guy that I think he's gotten a steal like in 7, 8 consecutive games, something like that. So he's getting it done on both ends of the floor. And man,
Defensive Player of the Year.
Crazy thing about it, but the crazy thing about it is Golden State, I don't think is even close to as good as they're gonna be. Like they're still figuring it out. And when they finally start to peak, man, watch out.
Yeah, there was a question last night to Steph about making the all-defensive team, and he said, yeah, you start that narrative. That question come from you, Michael C. Wright? Are you trying to get Steph Curry on the all-defensive team?
I snuck on the Zoom, and snuck one in there.
All right, let's play a little game with you, Michael C. Wright, and we're going to include our esteemed colleagues here on the panel, Grant Hill and Greg Anthony as well. We're going to have each of you pick one here. Let's start here with you. Which former MVP on your list here between Giannis and Jokic? You have Giannis right now at 6th on your MVP ladder and Jokic at 3 on your MVP ladder. Which one of those two, Michael, do you feel has a better chance of winning MVP this year?
Man, well, let me give you a disclaimer first. I am not an analytics, stats nerd. I'm not none of that. But look at what Nikola Jokic is doing. I mean, he is first among all players in box plus minus, player efficiency rating, all those nerdy things that all the stats guys love. And he's doing it without Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. Will Barton has kind of been in and out with his back issues. So, for me, Nikola probably has the best chance to repeat, but I'm not going to put it past Giannis because that guy's got some momentum. And, he's starting to kind of realize that, man, if I just go at these people, they can't stop me. And once you start to kind of mentally visualize that makes things tough, man. So I'm not going to put it past Giannis, but right now, Nikola is my favorite guy for that repeat MVP situation.
I'm with Michael. I can make a case that Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. I mean, that guy is an incredible player. He's one of the 2 or 3 best passers in the game. Offensively, he's shooting close to 60% from the field. He shoots a high percentage from 3. He's a much better defender than we give him credit for. If you go look at his numbers from a defensive rating standpoint, and to Michael's point, he's doing all that without Michael Porter Jr., who, when he was out there, was really struggling. No Jamal Murray. Will Barton, like he said, in and out of the lineup. And he still got them right in the thick of things. So I just don't think people, because he's in Denver, really truly appreciate how truly special he is as a basketball player. And that takes nothing away from all the other greats we have that are on that list.
All right, Grant, which one is more likely to win MVP this year, Jokic or Giannis?
I like to be contrarian, but I agree with these guys in this case. I think Jokic is the guy. Now, I don't think either one of them wins it this year. But if I had to choose between the two, yes, for all the reasons these guys said. I mean, Jokic, he's really kind of, if Steph Curry has revolutionized the game with the shooting.
Yeah.
He's done it in terms of at the center position in this particular era. Made the center relevant again. A point center, the passing, the scoring, the dominance. It's incredible to watch. And so, yeah, Jokic would be my guy. But I don't think either one of them.
All right, clean sweep there. All of you said Jokic. Let's continue this game of pick one. We're talking about value. Now, you have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine on your list, Michael C. Wright, for potential most valuable player. But which one of these two, pick one, Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan, do you feel is more valuable to the Bulls right now?
You been watching the games? It's DeMar. It's DeMar. Come on, man. And the funny thing about DeMar is, like, you hear a lot of talk here. I mean, I would say in the last week or so, people are like, well, DeMar's been a guy that's been under the radar and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've been here in San Antonio for the last 3 years. I watched him play. When he came to San Antonio, one thing that people never gave him credit for is he brought an element of playmaking to his game. Okay, you take that over to Chicago where you're a much better fit because you're in San Antonio with a bunch of young guys that, they're thrust into significant roles, prominent roles, and they're probably not quite ready to take on those roles. Okay, you go to Chicago, now you've got some dogs around you. You got Lonzo, you've got your old college teammate Vooch. So DeMar has, to me, he's been the most valuable guy. Was it earlier this week he went through LA and just went hard. I mean, he had like 35 and 38 against the Clippers and the Lakers. So for me, DeMar is the guy, and I don't want to hear no talk about this guy being under the radar. He's been there. He's been balling all this time.
Grant?
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, no question. It's interesting. I mean, he's kind of back at the level, or at least in terms of putting the numbers up like you thought in Toronto. I mean, I thought when he went to San Antonio, we kind of forgot about how great of a player he was. And for a lot of the reasons, that Michael alluded to. But, he's in a system now that's getting out, that's running, that's spreading the floor. They have experienced guys, unlike, in San Antonio where they're kind of going through a rebuild, and he was someone that was there to help as they transitioned out of one era, sort of hopefully into another for the Spurs. But it's been incredible. The way he has played, and, Zach LaVine is a great talent, but DeMar's come in and exerted himself and has become the go-to guy, the guy on this team that has lifted them to. And, one of the differences as well between how he played in San Antonio, this team's winning. This team is playing at a high level, whereas San Antonio was, kind of flirting with possibly making the playoffs for the last few years. So winning, scoring, leading this team, giving them that confidence. Just remember, Zach LaVine has never been in a playoff series.
Right.
And as great of a player as he is, he's learning what it takes to be a part of a successful team. And, DeMar DeRozan is leading the way.
Yeah, I think the culture changed. And look, I think we also got to give a lot of credit to what Lonzo Ball's brought to the table, Alex Caruso. But it's DeMar DeRozan. Zach LaVine is doing what he did last year, which is having a really good season, all-star caliber season. But in order for them to get to the level they're at now, they had to go out and get some serious talent and upgrade. And that's where DeMar DeRozan has just really changed the team, because he also takes pressure off LaVine. I made this point earlier. When you're on the floor as Zach LaVine and you got another guy out there with you that you think can make every play equally as well as you can, takes pressure off you. It allows you to not force things, allows you to have more trust out on the floor. And those guys have a great synergy between the two. And they're both California kids. They have a great vibe together. And their games really do seem to complement each other. And he's also, I think, helped Zach become better defensively, which is where this team has really stepped up and ramped up. And they're a team, I had doubts coming in to the season as to how good they could become. But, man, I tell you what, to have the continuity they have and play as seamlessly as they have with all the new pieces, that's a real testament, not just to that coaching staff, but to really those new guys coming in and really making it work.
Chicago at Denver tonight. No Nikola Jokic. He's out with a wrist injury. Last one for you here on this fun game called Pick One. Here we go with the Phoenix Suns. Michael C. Wright, you have Chris Paul listed 9th on your latest MVP ladder. You got Devin Booker also receiving votes on that next 5, just outside the top 10. And you look at these two players and their numbers. Wow, interesting, because Chris Paul still leads the league in assists. Devin Booker's scoring numbers are all down, but everything else is all up. Who is more valuable to the Phoenix Suns, Michael C. Wright? Devin Booker or Chris Paul?
Jared, you know this is about to be another unanimous choice right here. I'm just letting you know now. Chris Paul, man. Like, he's the guy that makes it all go. You know, I was looking at one of their box scores the other night. It might have been their last game. Dude, he shot like, I don't know, like 1% from the floor or something. Like, it was terrible. Like, he shot the ball terribly. But you know what he did? He finished that game with 14 assists. And if you can't affect the game shooting, you figure out other ways to do it. He's a veteran. He's the guy that gets them all together and makes sure everything's running smoothly. Obviously, you know, we all know about what's going on with DeAndre and Ayton and his contract situation. Chris Paul is the guy that sits him down and says, hey, young man, you just keep balling. You're going to get paid. So to me, that's the guy, and they would not be near as successful as they are without that guy in the lineup.
I agree. I mean, I think Chris Paul is, we saw it last year in the finals, you know, when he struggled in some of those games and those moments against Milwaukee, you know, Phoenix struggled. I mean, he's the guy that gives them confidence. He's the guy that sets the table. He's the experienced player. That's why they went and paid him all this money at an age where he's up there.
Yep.
And, you know, but they understand, I think we all understand the value and the importance that Chris Paul, he brings that sort of championship level to that ball club, gives them confidence. And, you know, as they're going through some interesting times right now, I think he's someone who can hold it together in that locker room and help keep this team focused on track to be the best they can be.
Yeah, I mean, they've only won 10 in a row. And the team that's the defending Western Conference champs won 10 in a row, and nobody's talking about them.
Well, we're talking about him right now. So
I know, but I go back to this. I thought he
watch NBA TV. You'll see people.
He could have been
him.
MVP last year, and I think we get so caught up in stats nowadays that we don't focus on impact. And his impact on that organization is immeasurable. Because Devin Booker, again, has always been doing this.
Yep.
But they had a good stretch in the bubble, but they were not anywhere near being a team that can contend. Oh. And now you bring Chris Paul. I think he might be leading the league in steals this year as well, along with leading the league in assists, shooting 50 from the field. So I don't think there's any question it's him. Not to take anything from Devin Booker, but Chris Paul's value and impact is incredibly valuable.
Well, don't disrespect the Caruso.
I won't.
He's up there.
In what?
Leading. He's right above Chris Paul in steals, him and Marcus Smart.
Okay. Yeah, those guys are good.
So are you, Greg Anthony.
As
a
are
superstar.
You,
oh, that's so sweet. Michael C. Wright.